Okay. Hi, audience. We will be starting soon. Just waiting for a couple of seconds or maximum a minute. Okay, I'll just give you a second. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Creativity Café, your home for thoughtful conversation, reflective pauses, and a little bit of intellectual adda. This is Emotional Intelligence Masterclass, Leading with Empathy and Humanity. I'm your host, Dr. S.M.A. Moin, a reader in storytelling and brand communication at Queen Mary University of London. Today's theme is one of the topic that is so close to my heart, self-awareness. In my work on personal branding, as I'm a passionate enthusiast on personal branding and storytelling, as well as brand storytelling, I often view this idea through the timeless wisdom of Socrates, know thyself, and the poetic philosophy of Shakespeare, who reminds us that all the world is a stage, and each of us must understand the role we are meant to play in this vast cosmic theater. But today, we step into a different lens, the lens of emotional intelligence. We ask, what does it truly mean to know ourselves? Why does this matter for the way we lead, love, and live? And how can we understand our inner world, shape the impact we make in the outer world that we experience? To explore these questions, I'm thrilled and genuinely thrilled to be joined by someone whose insight continues to enrich this masterclass, Professor S.M. Arifuzzaman, one of Asia's leading voices on emotional intelligence and human-centered leadership. Professor, welcome back to Creativity Cafe.
Thanks a lot,
How are
Dr.
you?
Moin. It's always wonderful coming back to your podcast, and the way you have started to this session actually energized me a lot. Thanks a lot for this wonderful conversation.
Fantastic. Well, I can't see your coffee today, but I'm certain that your insight will be the real caffeine for our audience, energizing them to deep dive into their inner world and discover their own caffeine factor. So let's start with our first question. Professor, we often hear that self awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence. Why is it? What makes knowing ourselves so essential to understanding others and lead with empathy?
Yeah, it's a wonderful question to start with this session. Because without knowing or without understanding what is going inside on you, it's very difficult to actually manage what's going outside you. So self-awareness is kind of switching on the light in the dark room. So when the light is on, you got the clarity, so everything, you can see the patterns, you can see the strengths, you can see your blind spots also. And that all the skills of emotional intelligence somehow actually connected with this self-awareness, like the self-control, empathy, communication. Everything actually, is centered around this self-awareness. It all depends on this light. So that is why, and the researchers also had shown us that uh, if we don't have the self-awareness, then we don't have the clarity. So sometimes, if you hear this kind of statement that if you don't know where you are going, then any road will take you there. So if we don't have the self-awareness, no matter how quick, how speed, at which speed we are going, maybe we are going in the wrong direction. So and that is also your, that research, your research work is also on that, the finding the compass and all these things. So this is actually the essence of the self-awareness. So everything depends on this self-awareness.
Fantastic. I love the way you started that it's just switching on the light inside you, enlightening us from the inner. So that really takes me or takes me or reflect me into a Quranic verse, and that is verse number 35 and Surah An-Nur. And often this verse is known as Ayatun Nur, where the verse is saying that Allah is the light of this earth, and our whole inspiration and enlightenment can come from that. Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. Masalu nurihi kamishkatin fiha misbah. Al misbahu fi zujaja. So that's a fascinating, verse, and I think this is also so we can also understand this the self-awareness or how we can enlighten us not only from emotional intelligence, but we can also sometimes take the strings of spirituality. That's fascinating. And also, you mentioned a compass, which is also fascinating. But I will come to that. But now, my second question for you is that many people think they are self-aware until life proves otherwise. How can someone recognize that they actually lack self-awareness?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Like you have actually really made a nice comment, because the one of the best resource persons who is working in the field of the self-awareness is Tasha Eurik. So she had worked with a extensive number of corporates, and her research has gave us a fantastic direction that uh, around 95% people believe they are self-aware, but in reality only 10 to 15% are actually self-aware. From our research it has been found. So the self-awareness, whether you have it or not, that can be actually reflected from day to daily moments. So for example, if you're sometimes surprised to hear the word that well, you have hurt me, or when somebody says that you are surprised when somebody says that, okay, you are very much rude, then sometimes you are reacting, and then later on you are regretting, and sometimes you are blaming others for something which is actually contributed to you. And so these are actually some of the signs through which you can understand. So now if I tell you in a very simple manner that if your life fills up with a statement like this, why does this thing happen to me always, it means that you need to work on your self-awareness.
Okay, fantastic. So yeah, okay, that's great actually, great answer, and I think anybody hearing they might be definitely benefited. So let's go get into the next question. We often talk about reflection and feedback because that's the way leaders or anyone they can develop. But what do these loop really look like in practice? How does one build them with intention or with consciousness?
Yeah, it's a wonderful way to look at the thing, because if we really want to develop the self-awareness, these are the actually two ways we can do, and both of them actually complement each other. So doing one without doing other actually will not do for us. So we actually connect this with the concept of Johari window, where he had showed that it's all about finding what you are hiding and what are your blind spots. So the first thing is that you have to do the internal reflection. So you have to ask the question that why I was behaving in that way, why I was angry at that time. So this is called the internal, internal awareness. So you focus on your actions, your emotions, and your behaviors. And the second one is that you actually take the feedback from other people. So you ask this question to others, that whether they feel something in yourself that is needed to be changed. So this is actually the toughest part of the self awareness, getting the feedback from others. So that is called the external awareness. So both of them will actually make your self awareness complete.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so that's why it is so important, because yeah, okay, we are getting to know what we don't know actually, and obviously, I mean, what we know, I mean, that's not adding another layer, but getting to know what we don't know, that's so precious now. I mean, you know that I'm a storyteller and my work is around that. So as a storyteller, I see journaling as a mirror, because you can note down subtle things, subtle emotions, and then that can contribute to the story you develop. But from an EI perspective, because as you are an EI expert, how does journaling help deepen self awareness?
Yeah, because the self awareness is actually, that is, somebody can understand whether you are self aware or not within a very few seconds. So that is why journaling help us in a lot, because if we write down that what drains me, what motivates me, what energizes me, so then my brain will have all sort of information. So next time, suppose if somebody trigger us, or if someone or some event trigger us, if we can write it down, next time what it happen with us, our brain will actually activate uh, our prefrontal cortex. So definitely, journalizing always will sharpen our self awareness, because then our brain got this awareness. It is highly connected with this brain.
Okay, so that means when we are aware of something about us, about certain kind of emotions that we have, we not only understand that okay, this is there, but when we journal, we are actually also passing this information to the cloud, and that cloud is within our brain. So,
Yes.
so it's kind of reminding our brain. So it can be in our even subconscious level. So even if we are not conscious, but maybe if we can input this thing in our subconscious level, and the brain can draw on uh, insights or wisdom from that domain when we function in the next time. Okay, that's really fantastic. So let's get a bit of scientific. Let's open the doors of neuroscience. So what actually happens in the brain when we become aware of an emotion?
Yeah, so actually what happened, our brain always, that scan our body for uh, emotional clues like breathing, tension, and heart rate. So in our brain, there is a part called, we call it actually limbic system, or the emotional brain, actually that read this emotional clues. And after that, we have the another part of the brain, we call it the prefrontal cortex. Some people call it executive center of the brain, that actually makes sense of that. So these two together actually make the system complete. It's just like, sometimes I can give the example of a, that your emotional part is actually the, maybe your the the brake of a brake shoe of your car, and the prefrontal cortex is your accelerator. So these two have to be combined together to make the best sense of your emotion, and obviously take the best response. So it is highly neuroscience. It is connected to the highly connected to the neuroscience actually. So we really
Okay.
need to know that how these two connect to each other. So sometimes you know that you will see that some people with a very high level of IQ, they behave in a very weird manner, and then they ask the question that why, what happened to me, how was I hosted. So it means that his emotional brain and the prefrontal cortex actually was not aligned at that particular situation. So alignment is neuroscience, purely neuroscience.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, because I mean, sometime in storytelling also, I dive into neuroscience, and there is a research that when you pass some communication, through a story, then through stories, then more areas of the brain, then more neurons are fired. And also the brain works in the same way between the brains of the storyteller and brains of the story listeners. They work in the same way and they sync, and we call it the emotional coupling. So the brain are coupling. So you are explaining something similarly. Yeah, that's quite fascinating. So, Professor, I will come to the next question. So leaders often say they want feedback until it arrives. How can emotionally intelligent leader sit with difficult feedback without slipping into defensiveness?
That's I think that most powerful question, because it is very much connected with the real life situation. So what a leader actually they does with the feedback. And mostly when you talk about the feedback, mostly we talk about the negative feedback actually, meaning where I need to do the improvement or make the improvement. The problem is that the emotionally unintelligent leader, they consider the feedback as personal attack, but the emotional intelligent leader, they consider the feedback as only as data. So they look for it, so they pause and they think, okay, uh, what is happening to me, why they are giving me feedback like this, whether I have really done something wrong or not. So they start asking questions rather than fighting. First thing they do. And another thing is that they actually go deep into that and they don't feel threatened. So it's all about the positive attitude, the how you are looking at the feedback. And uh, it has something to do with your humility also. So when the leader, they are emotionally unintelligent, they feel that okay, they are bulletproof, they don't have they cannot do any kind of mistakes, and that's why uh, they react very negatively. And that's why it happened that in some corporation it has been found that the people at the junior level, they don't feel good, they don't feel comfortable to give the feedback. As a result of this, sometimes they know that their leader is going to do a obvious mistake, but still they cannot have the courage to give them the right feedback. So that
Okay.
is why the emotional intelligence is considered as that the differentiating factor between the good to great. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, good to great. So you are referring to that
yeah,
great book,
yeah,
Good to
yeah,
Great.
so,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, so
Okay.
this feedback one is like I think that the most important part of self awareness. So so this all about the way you are taking the feedback. So the emotionally unintelligent leader, they take it as a personal attack, and the emotional intelligent leader, they consider it just as a data.
So it's
That's
kind of
important.
it's kind of the gateway
Yes,
to know oneself better, because they
yes,
already know,
yes.
but obviously now you are knowing through the information others have about you. And obviously the intelligent leader, emotional intelligent leader, they will separate emotion from the fact that is within the feedback, and they will work on the fact that is the data. As you said, that you said very well, that they take
Yeah,
it
even it
as a
even
data.
yeah, even it is connected with the work of the Brené Brown. Like she talked about the vulnerability. So that as a leader, I can also do mistakes. So, but it is really difficult to do in the corporate world, because some people might think that okay, if I have this kind of attitude, that okay, I can also do the mistake that can be used against me. But uh, some of the surveys or some of the incidents had shown that if you have the courage to admit the mistake, you can become actually the great leader. And sometimes maybe you may lose the position of a current company, but later on you can be welcomed by a better company even in the coming days.
Yeah, certainly. I do absolutely believe in that, because, because my PhD research was on trust, and obviously what I understood is that trust is only needed where there is a vulnerability. And then when I started reading leadership and other books, and I found that actually, if you want people to trust you, you got to be vulnerable to them. So even if you look at this company, Amazon, they are one of the, best companies in the world now in terms of making revenues and others. But initially, there are two things about here, because we can relate. So initially, they were saying, okay, still it's there that okay, you can return your things within so and so time. And many people thought that, okay, people will be returning and the company will go bust. But
Hmm.
actually, it didn't happen. So they put themselves in a position of vulnerability, because you can buy and you can return. So,
Yep.
but they were vulnerable. But then again, another milestone decision was taken by, at that time, it was quite abrupt and quite new, by Jeff Bezos, that okay, you can give review, you can like, you can comment. So this is an opportunity. You can actually create a brand, or you can destroy a brand. And many people didn't like, who wanted to sell on their platform, but they said, no, this is the way we create trust, because we
Hmm.
have to be vulnerable. So I have seen that if you really speak from your heart, and if you, because nobody's perfect, and that's the fact
Yeah.
of the matter, and we are vulnerable, then people will trust us. So I mean, obviously, so the feedback, if that makes us vulnerable, it's not a problem, because that's the way we actually command respect gradually. So I will
Yeah, you
come
will you
to
will al- you will also signal the authenticity to the market as well, like you're authentic. So that's why you're a human being. You can do mistake, so you're authentic actually, and you
yeah,
will become more credible in the market. Yeah, thanks a lot.
yeah, and leaders are humans. So yeah, obviously
Yes.
got to be human. Okay, so yeah, our next question. Yeah, that's fascinating discussion, to be honest with you. And our next question is about overconfidence. Sometimes this is there are leaders, okay, or there are people we know who think that they are confident, and perhaps a little too confident. How does real self-awareness differ from inflated self-belief or overconfidence?
Yeah, it's another interesting question, I must say, and powerful as well, I must say, because we have seen so many leaders, just because of their overconfidence, they cannot grow to the level where suppose they are supposed to go. So overconfidence, we say that it is very loud, and self-awareness is quiet. So overconfidence says that I say I'm good. That is overconfidence. But self-awareness says that, well, I'm good, but still there is a room for improvement. So that is the one. And so we say that overconfidence protects the ego, and self-awareness let the person grow. So that's why the self-awareness is, and that's why it is considered as very important skill actually, it is this, especially in today's world, because that everything is now changing. So the people who are overconfident, they assume that everything will be in their favor, but sometimes some things can change and they can do the very silly mistake. But if you have the self-awareness, then you will always feel that, well, we have to be always bit careful, because something can go wrong.
And your overconfidence should come from the fact that you are not alone. You are supported
Mm.
by your team, so you depend on everybody. So
Yeah.
everybody's opinion matters, and everybody you take seriously. So you are not just overconfident yourself. And yeah, so that's another aspect. But obviously, you can take it also from the religious spectrum, like the way Quran starts, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. It means whenever you do something, maybe you are talking now, or you are doing anything, but you can only do these things so long your the soul is within your body. The moment it is out, you can't do that. And that's why we say that whatever we have done, but the real the gratefulness goes to Almighty. So if we see that in that way, that can make us humble as well. And
Yeah.
that's humility is a key, actually, especially the kind of leadership we are talking about. So let's dive into the areas of mindfulness or meditation. And so we hear mindfulness associated with everything nowadays. But from your experience, can mindfulness or meditation actually improve self-awareness?
Yeah, definitely, because mindfulness will let you notice the very small thing that is happening within you. So your breathing, your pressure, like you're feel sweating, all these things actually you can notice, and meditation help you to observe without reacting. So that's very powerful. So even 1 minute of meditation can actually let you have a micro gap between your emotion and the reaction, and between in this micro gap the awareness lies. So sometimes we say that 1 second of pause can save your career even. So that's why the meditation actually, that is considered as a very powerful thing. And now, as you know, that some of the greatest business schools, they have included the mindfulness and the meditation practices in their curriculum, and this course type of courses are getting very popular nowadays.
Oh, that's fascinating because I at my university I teach normally two modules, one for level six undergraduate third year, and also one for the master level students. And I always try to include one new topic. So you just gave me an idea now, so I can think about that. That yeah, we can include something on med because I think in this hyper, the information in the context where so many information we are hyper distraction, I will say. People are so distracted. If we want to actually make sure that we are at the command center of our own life, then meditation is matters, and this kind of course can certainly help our students. Okay, so let's come to daily micro practices that can build self understanding. So what I will ask is, for the audience listening today, what small daily practices can help them slowly build a deeper understanding of themselves?
Yeah, because I think that from our conversation, the audience already that feel to develop the self awareness. So some of the practices they can do is actually every day, at least 3 times a day, they can actually ask the question that what I'm feeling right now. First one. So we call that naming the emotion. Actually, will the tame the reaction. So name it to tame it. So and when you can name your emotion, the actual emotion has less control on you. And another one that we can do actually the breathing practice, because when you do the breathing practice, that will help us to uh, give the pause at the right moment. And another one that you can do, we can do the journalizing actually, like every day at the end of the day, we can do the journalizing and we can write down that what are the things that happened to me for the whole day that I should be feeling gratitude. And so these are some of the practices we can do. And another one that you can do, although it needs a lot of courage, ask him some trusted person that how did I come across today, like so, like getting the trying to get some sort of feedback actually from the trusted people, so they can give us some sort of idea that how I'm behaving, how I'm interacting, and was my all sort of behavior or the showing the emotion was appropriate or not. These are some of the small practices we can do.
Okay, fantastic. We are very near to completing our today's session, but I have one more question. Possibly it will get us into a fascinating area, that is ethics. How does self-awareness affect the way we make moral or ethical decisions?
Yeah, so actually, the we say that ethics collapses when the ego takes over. So self-awareness actually keep our ego check in our ego. So keeps our ego in check in. So as a result of this, when we understand our motives, our feeling, then actually we take a decision that is actually based on the integrity. And another aspect I must say that when you are self-aware, then actually you do the things what is right. You don't do the thing what is easy, because we do the things to protect our ego, and as a result of this sometimes we are involved in some sort of activities that serve our ego, and we don't feel bad to actually justify our irrational behavior as well. So self awareness help us to protect our ego, keep our ego in check in. As a result of this actually we take the decision which will be based on the integrity.
Okay, Professor, as always, profound insights, practical wisdom, and the kind of reflection that truly wakes us up, even without coffee. To our listeners, if today's conversation is sparked a moment of awareness, a moment of pause, or even a moment of discomfort, that's good. Self awareness begins exactly there. Join us in the next episode of Emotional Intelligence Masterclass, where we continue exploring how emotional intelligence can transform the way we lead, work, and connect. Until then, know thyself, embrace your true story, and stay curious. This is Dr. S.M. Moin from London, signing off from Creativity Cafe. Thank you, Professor Arifuzzaman. See you next week.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Moin, for having me.
Bye.